Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today is going to be a quick teching video on this, my next part of the KC-02 KJW replica. Now today it's going to be a barrel swap. Now what I realized when I bought this is that it has something with the stock standard barrel that comes with it in the US, which I absolutely hate, which is an orange tip. And so you're probably looking at this right now thinking, what orange tip? That doesn't look like an orange tip on there. But in fact, that is an orange tip. I don't know if you can see there the actual coloration of it. But this basically, the end of this is orange and it is painted orange onto the metal. And so I managed to scrape a lot of that off and then just Sharpie it with black. But the actual end plug, which is right there, this plug is actually just orange plastic. Now that means that I've again Sharpied it, but that is going to scratch off over time. And eventually that's just going to start to show. So straight away I was like, how can I rectify this? And I have looked at Rogueworks, who do a ton of stuff for the KC-02. And they do have some stuff I'm quite interested in getting. However, a lot of it's sold out. And so when there we go. And so when I went to Evike again the other day, I thought, you know what? They have a replacement barrel. So the barrel that they have is this one, and actually is a barrel with a threaded, internally threaded insert, which means that I should be able to mount suppressors, tracers, whatever I want. I don't think I'll really run a suppressor on this because this is going to be much more of an outdoor daytime gun that I'm going to use for then. But it is something that I may end up wanting that at some stage, or actually the look of it's quite cool. And so when I was there, I also had a look and I found two other things, one of which is this, which is an actual adapter. So that means that it'll take that internal suppress on that side and it'll push to an external thread. So then we're going to have it like that. And then I actually found quite a cool little flash hider, kind of suppressor flash hider that I thought I quite liked. So I went with this, and I'm going to basically try and install all of these in the video. I've never taken apart a KC-02, but I have seen a couple of videos, or I did a couple of quick views of videos after one of the subs on the channel said, hey, you may want to look at this because it's quite hard to take apart. So with that, I'm going to open this guy up and we're going to see what we can do. I'm actually quite impressed with this so far. I'm going to be doing a lot of internal changes to it. I'm going to put a new hop rubber in it, a new inner barrel. I do have a hop rubber that I'm going to do that with, which I think I'm going to test this out, which is the 4UAD 4Wantum, or whatever they call it, Industries. It is the Friction Pro high performance bucking for gas blowbacks. So I'm going to try that out. Normally I go with my Flamingo hop rubber. I always get those interchanged, the Flamingo and the Unicorn, but usually I go with that. So this time I'm going to test that out, but I'm going to install it into the hop up once I have an inner barrel, and I don't have that arrived yet. I think I'm going to stay with the 310, which is this length, instead of extending it to a 3 or 500, which I could put a suppressor on and do it. But I quite like how this is a lot more of a like kind of compact little DMR 22 kind of shooting gun. This is the mags that I'm using. I haven't had my HPA adapter come through yet, so I will do a test video on that as well. But I'm going to basically just take this apart as it is. I am going to need to remove this Aimpoint T2. That is a repro. I don't know where I got this from. Like, I found it again the other day in like my box of just sight stuff. And I must have got it at some point, but it's kind of actually works really well. I don't know if I'll give you guys a little look on this one. I'll give you a little look there. You can't see it. So let me make sure it's working. If I just switch it all the way up. Okay, there we go. So I don't know if you can see that there, but that's the red dot there. And it actually has good clarity all around. So I'm going to try and find out what repro this is, because these are very expensive if they're real. And it's got kind of a cool little riser on it as well. So I quite like that. And I think probably what I'm going to do is keep that. I'm going to put some lights on quickly. I think maybe that'll help, just kind of showing you guys what I'm doing on here a bit as well. So I think the first thing we need to do is actually take out this bottom screw right here. I'll show you it quickly. That is the screw. And I think that basically holds the upper barrel assembly into the lower. I'm going to do that with a hex screw. This is a 532, whatever that means, if you're wondering. So that's going to come out, and I need to not lose parts. I was just redoing the the actual trigger on my Glock 34 from the last couple of videos. In fact, I'll show you that. This is now how this trigger is. And so now you can see like the actual movement in it is tiny compared, and it really kicks this thing. I don't know if it's like the slide or what it is. I mean, it is a longer slide, but this thing really, really goes, and I really like it. I didn't think I would because it's quite a showy looking piece, but I'm actually kind of slightly falling in love with it. I don't know why. And I actually do quite like this as well. I never like big pistols, and for some reason this guy is really, really actually, it's after my heart, let's put it that way. Okay, so I need to get this out because this is actually not coming out at the moment. I need to stop talking. Oh, and there is another one here. So that is another one. So there's 2 screws. Good thing about filming this as well is that I actually, if I lose a screw, or not even lose a screw, that's not going to help particularly. But if I have a situation where I don't know where a screw goes, then it is a lot easier for me to look back and find out where that is. So that is the longer screw that's going to go in the bottom, and that actually has a little washer on it. So that's a little pressure washer. So make sure that that stays on there. Now that is basically just going to remove that body. And that's why actually I may get a new body for it, because it's quite easy to change out from what I can see. All of the actual working parts of this replica are here. So that is the barrel, you've got your rail attachment, your actual trigger. Okay, that's not good. So I think that pin was in there, and so is this one. So let's make sure that we don't lose those. That looks, yeah, like it just goes in there. So I don't know what this pin is for, but there's 2 pins right here and right here. So I don't know what they're for, but I'm going to keep them there for now, just in case. And I'll remind myself that that's where that is. In fact, I'm going to kick this one out just because that one's not wanting to sit. Now, the next thing I think I need to do, just from watching videos, is remove this hop wheel. So I'm just going to screw this hop wheel off and then take off the upper screws and actually just then remove the barrel from there. I don't like people when they do this. Like, this is now a different sized, they're making me use a different sized hex key for these bolts, even though like they could all be the same size or the same like width. I don't know why you would go with one. This is stock, it's not like it's a different piece. But I don't know why you wouldn't just keep everything the same. It means people like me, I do have a lot of hex keys, luckily. I'm going to remove this first, I forgot to do that. So I think this is just an unscrew. It's basically just going counterclockwise to take this off. And there is a spring and also a little pin right here. So I need to be careful not to lose those. I really love losing springs. It's like, I don't know what it is about me. No, this is actually slightly too big, so I'm going to go with a slightly smaller one. That's bigger. And that's too small. So, weirdly, that one worked with that before. Almost like not fully seating into the actual screw. So I might have to get up and get a new one. Okay, that one's working now. I do not, as always, want to strip these. Okay, that one's gone now as well. So those are all off. I'm going to try and keep these screws in the actual holes if I can, because that's going to mean that I know exactly where they go. Okay, that one's out. There's this rail segment, it seems like, is in 2 pieces. As always, guys, if you're watching this and you're getting a bit bored, I'll be in the chat in the Premiere, so you can tell me you're getting bored and what I should do differently, or leave a comment below. If you could leave a like, that would be really appreciated. I try and write that when we're doing the Premiere, but it's definitely okay. So that spring and the pin have come out there, so I just need to make sure that I put those back in properly. But that's just basically where that sat there. So when I put this rail back, I just need to make sure that I do that. Now I think that I just need to remove these two blocks, these two screws out of this block from right here. And that means that I should, in theory, from what I believe, be able to then remove the outer barrel. Okay, so this has come loose, which is good. Or has it? Am I stripping it? I might be stripping that slightly. Yeah, I think actually it's too big. I'm going to try and get a different insert just so I don't screw this up. Let's just move these over here for a second. But I am quite excited to see how this ends up. Okay, that one's proper. So this one should work. However, turning it is a lot more difficult. Because it's an awkward angle, this one. And I don't have enough grip on this to get it. So I'm going to have to come up with another way of doing this. Just put this away. I have another set of these here. So maybe these are just going to have a better little grip or fit. Because I always find it quite hard to find hex keys that actually work for the things that I'm trying to use them for. It's like I want to have the torque in terms of like turning, but I also want to be able to turn it properly, and this should fit a lot better. There we go. And I find it very tough to find, like, what I would love is if I had that screwdriver and it had a little hole in it, so I could just stick this through the end and then rotate it. Like that kit I can use for almost everything. But for stuff like this, where I almost need like a longer, thin, it's all about like the where is something. So now I should actually find it easier to do it this way. Like now I've just done that. It should be easier for me just to rotate it without having to, wrong size. Rotate it without having to like move, because that handle's getting in the way. Hopefully you guys can see that on here, but now I can just rotate like this. I can pull that pin all the way out, or that screw, sorry. And as you can see already, this outer barrel is getting loose, which is what we need. Now I think as I remove this, it's going to remove the inner barrel and the hop unit, as well as that outer barrel. So I need to be careful with what I'm doing. Yeah, in terms of cost, guys, like this is a very affordable replica. You're paying between like around $250. I paid $245 for this. I think normally on Evike's website, without the discount that they had when I bought it, it's about $275. Okay, and so then I can actually just remove this, try and keep everything in place. There's actually a spacer in there, which I think I'm going to need. The actual barrel is only $30, that's what it cost me to get it. And so there's a spacer right there. I don't know if you can see that. Kind of like a little piece. I'm going to lie this down carefully. But really, I want to get this out. So that is going to be the next thing of like, how do I get... I don't know what that sound is either. So this is going to be a hard one to get out, or it looks like it's going to be a hard one to get out. And I don't know how I'm going to do it. Oh. It's a little bit loose. So almost what I need to do is get like a pusher to go all the way down through that way. Oh, no, I've got it. So this is the little spacer here. It's got like an interior little barrel to hold it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to place this into my new barrel. It looks like this is kind of designed to just jam into place. So I'm going to need to see if I can just put this straight in. So I don't want to mess around with that hop. Okay, so I think that this is going to go on here. Pushing this down. Trying to get it over this O-ring is the issue. I'll remove the O-ring. Okay, so this looks like it's a kind of barrel extension that's going to go into the end. So that's going to go right at the end there. So what I'm going to do actually first is I'm going to put this guy on the end. So I'm just basically taking that adapter, threading it right on the end there. What I might do actually is I'm going to put an O-ring. Got my little O-ring set. Got my little O-ring set. You know what this is actually, I think, is that is going to do the barrel extension. So it's not actually a buffer, but it's kind of like a spacer between the barrel extension and the actual inner barrel. So that's maybe why you can get a 500mm and it will fit in the same, because I think this is a 380. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little O-ring just here so that when it goes on the end, it's not going to... So there, what I'm doing is I'm just taking one of my O-rings and putting it onto the end there. I've already got another one for that side that I'm putting on. So that should be good. It's just going to help me get more of that like tension and not lock it down. So I'm going to put this guy in here. No, I'm not. I'm going to put this guy in here. So we've got that tension going right there. So as you can see, that O-ring is there, and then I've got that extension on. Then what I need to do is put this into here, and we need to feed this all the way down and through. Now that might be quite difficult to do it that way, so maybe what I'll do is try and put it in this end first. Push it all the way down. Okay, so that hopefully will work. I'll put this guy back on here. Sorry if this is getting a bit convoluted and hard to explain. Then I'm going to push the inner barrel gently all the way up there. I'm going to try and seat this. I think this needs to go all the way on, so it looks as if we're good. And there we go. So that is now slipped on there. If I do a little shake, we have got a little bit of movement there. And it is lined up. So my only concern is just whether I need to do some kind of shim here to prevent this from moving. Because if I've got some movement with this end barrel, this extension, what I could do maybe is actually do another O-ring around this. I think that might just be too much movement, and I've got it there. Okay, I can play around with that actually afterwards, because I don't think that's really going to affect it. It's going to be more me just messing around with that extension at the end. So I'm going to leave that like that for now, and then I might just put a little kind of O-ring around there if I've still got some movement. Now what we're going to do is try and put this guy back together. So the first thing I had was this, which basically should be what holds this in place properly. Now we had two different versions of this to put it in, one of which was this one. Let's make sure I always like to back the screw out as far as I can before putting it back in. Now I would normally thread lock this, as I thread lock everything when I put it back together, if I had it all done. But what I'm actually going to do with this is change out that hop rubber and the hop rubber and the inner barrel in another video, so I don't want to. Just want to make sure this isn't rethreading anything. So I don't want to necessarily do that yet, just because I feel like this might be going in a bit of an angle. It looks slightly off, and I'm just worried I'm going to strip the threads on this. So I'm going to back this one out all the way. Doesn't look like it's doing anything bad there, so maybe I'm just overthinking it. Yeah, I'm going to change it out, which means I'm going to have to open this up anyway. So if instead of me doing the whole I'm going to put it in and then take it out again, and then have to re-thread lock it. I'm just going to leave it unthread locked, and then I'm going to re-thread lock it afterwards, so that we have that to do. This guy's going to go in, and then this guy, we're going to do the same. And I also won't put it in super tight just for that reason. This is kind of a little bit hard to get this in, which I'm slightly worried about, but I don't think we're doing damage. I just think it has thread lock on it. It's just taking a bit to get through that. Yeah, because that's going down now fine. It's just, I think with the torque that I had on that smaller screwdriver, it's just harder to do it. Okay, now comes the part of remembering what goes where. So if you guys are doing tech work generally, even if you're not going to post it to a channel, I would recommend just sticking a camera on and just recording what you're doing, just because it does make it very much more, your head is going to be a lot happier if you have. So there is a little bit of shake there. You can hear that there. So I'm going to try and sort that out once we're done with this. But what I need to do first is put the rail back on here with the hop unit. So I'm going to put this guy, where's our hop unit going? So this guy is going to go, where are we going with this? Let me just remember. I think we're going here with this one. Let me just see when I line this up. Okay, so that is going to be where the spring goes, is in this hole. And then my little pin is going to sit I believe like that. But that doesn't look quite right. Maybe we'll go this way. I feel like when I took this out before, oh, maybe it was, no, because I screwed down between there and then I think it's going to be this way. So I'm going to put that in there. This isn't kind of lining up properly, so I need to make sure. I would turn it upside down. In fact, that might be what I'm going to do. I'm going to screw this on first because that needs to be on the underside. So we're going to put this guy on. We're not going to lose that pin. I might take this and see if this will work. Nope. Okay, so this guy's going to go on. I'm not going to fully tighten anything like all the way up yet, but I am going to do it as much as needed to hold it in place, and then I'm going to turn this over. I'm going to place this pin this way. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I think I know exactly what I'm doing here, which is wrong. No, that is right. Put this pin in here. And then this spring, I'm going to put it in there. No, I'm not. Put this spring in the body. And then I am going to try and meet these in the middle. And that hopefully should have me in the right spot. Now, because I took all of these out, I'm going to line them back up in the same way. So we have the right screw length for the right pieces. And I'm going to put this on gently again, just because I want to make sure that I've got that right. I think that that little pin is going to do the adjustments for the kind of like the clicking that's going to happen from the wheel. Although I think that's wrong. Yeah, you know what? I think that's very wrong. So I think we need to put both of these in the same hole so that we have that little guy pinning up. That one goes there. So I think what I've done there, which is wrong, is the actual spring attaches to that pin, and it's not going to be... It's going to be like this. And this is going to go in that hole. I'll put that pin in there. I'll put this screw in there. And then I'm going to basically put these, I'm going to turn this, put that right there. And that has meant now that that little pin is sitting up and it's got push to it. So I think that's going to be what is doing the clicking there. Don't hold me to it until it's actually in and we're doing it, but I think that's going to be what the thing that works is. But it's weird because I think when I took that off, I got a bit confused because it looked to me like it was in a different spot, like the pin was actually in the body. And I think it may have just been resting as I pulled the rail off. Because that would make sense where I tighten that now and the actual tension from that pin is going to be what is going along the kind of little teeth that are on there. You see that there? Let's get this thing to focus properly. I'm still playing around with the cameras, guys, so I apologize for the quality. I'm like trying to get lighting good. I'm trying to get everything so it's actually more pleasant for you guys to watch. So hopefully that's starting to happen, although I know the last few videos have not been great lighting wise. It's kind of like I think it looks great and then I upload it and I'm like, okay, that doesn't look as good as nearly as good as I thought it would be. Okay, so that is now all in place. Again, I'm not going to over tighten these just because I know that I'm going to take these apart in a bit to put this new inner barrel in and maybe switch out the barrel again to a different version. But okay, so that's there, that's there, that's there. This guy now should just screw straight in like that, and then it'll start clicking. Yeah, there we go. So that's got that adjustment now for the clicks, which is good. And now what I need to do is put this body back in. So now that is the pin that went there. So we've got that on there. Now what I need is to put this body back here, which should be fairly easy. Shouldn't say that. So I just need to seat that around the mag well. That pin is staying in. Nope, it's the pin that's holding it. There you go. So those pins, you need to be careful of the rear here that they're actually holding in. This is the guy with the actual little O-ring on it. So I'm going to put this guy in the base. Tighten this up, but it's a different sized hex screw. We'll go back to this guy and tighten this up. But we got rid of the orange tip so far. It's going to be interesting to see if I can get rid of this little bit of shake in the barrel. I don't think it's going to affect performance because it definitely doesn't sound like it's doesn't sound like the actual barrel's moving around. It's just almost like a shake at the top or the end there. Okay, so that's in. But I think it could be because I've got this O-ring there, it's not seating fully down and holding it in place. So what I'm going to do is remove the O-ring quickly just to check it. So I could put a smaller O-ring on here and just kind of tighten it more. But if you didn't have this adapter and you buy this piece, nope, that's still got a bit of wobble. So if you haven't got this adapter and you replace the barrel, you might be in some trouble because it might mean that you don't actually have the ability to secure it because it would just be that end cap and then you'd have to get the orange bit and put it back in there again. So what I might do quickly is put a little O-ring around this guy. Go back to my O-ring set. Get a little thin O-ring maybe. A little tiny one that I'm just going to put around it. And then maybe it will just press slightly on the inside of that adapter. Now the problem is getting this on without dropping it down the barrel. Yeah, this might not have been the best way to do it. You know what I'm going to do? taken out. Why wouldn't I just do that? That makes a lot more sense. So what I might do is just wrap this little O-ring around here, or do 1 or 2 of them. Because I think when that is going on there, that's just going to hold it in place a bit better. The other thing I think is I had that looser part actually in there. This is actually a thicker end here. So I'm going to put that right on the end. We're going to drop this down into that hole. I'm going to put the O-ring back on here because that didn't seem to affect it. And then I'm going to screw this back on. And that should just push that O-ring slightly down, put a bit of force on it. Hopefully. Sounds like it's got rid of most of it. There is a slight bit there. I think that's fine. I don't think I notice it. Yeah, it's going to annoy me, I think. It's almost like because I know it's there, that's what's going to annoy me. So maybe what I do is put a lot thicker O-ring around it and hold it in place properly. And then I can do this. It's going to be harder to get it out. But if maybe I put something like this guy around here, or something which is a little bit thinner, but actually let's try it. This looks like it's going to be the best option. Or I could double wrap another one around and just see how that worked. Yeah, I think that's going to be good. It's going to be a lot harder to get this out, so this better sort it. I can always go from the other end, I think. Okay, that's already stabilizing it. I think it could just be the length, which is just allowing it to like move slightly more. Again, it's not sorted it. Okay, what else can we do here? I don't want to glue it in place, obviously. I could. So that's keeping that very solid. I could put an O-ring inside here. That's going to be a good idea. So if I can find a nice small one. That's too big. In fact, does this fit nicely in there? Yes, it does. This little set, I'll link it in Amazon again. I've done it in previous videos, but this little set comes with these little pokies, which I don't think I've ever really used other than right now. But if you're trying to unhook stuff, it's got like a little unhook thing, and that I think is actually really useful. So what I've done is just put the O-ring right in the end there. So hopefully that will just give me a little bit of tension onto this. It'll give me better barrel stabilization, which should make the performance better. Even though this barrel is pretty solid, I would say the inside barrel on this is still getting it. You know what it could be is actually that little adapter. I think that's what it is. I think it's that adapter. And if I like glue it in place, then that should work, but do I want to do that? Okay, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it for now, because when I retake the barrel back out, it's going to be something where I can just glue the extension in, or maybe I just go for the 510mm barrel. I haven't fully ordered it yet, so I'm going to go maybe for the 510 inner barrel. But the actual thing's not moving. I think it's just that little adapter that was between the two of them is just giving me a slight bit of wobble there. And that is going to really annoy me. Okay, well, I can't keep doing this video and kind of keeping you guys just like waiting and waiting. So I'm going to leave it like that for this second. I put another O-ring here, and then this is this adapter, this flash hider. I think the flash hider was another $20, and I think the actual adapter on the end was $12. So 30, 12, 20, yeah, 30, 12, 20 is where we are. And it's annoying because they're both like counterclockwise, or like one's a clockwise, one's a counterclockwise, which means that if you're trying to undo it, then it is going to be, so that, guys, is what my KC-02 is now looking like. We're obviously going to put the, T2 back on. I'm going to put that on right there, and then I'm going to be doing tests on this soon, just so you guys can kind of see what it's like stock. But this is currently what it looks like, and I am quite happy. I want to keep this pretty minimal. It's very light, and I do want to keep it light. I don't think it is going to be something that I want to add a load of attachments to, etc. But I think that looks really awesome. Let me guys know if you agree, even though it's got a little rattle to it now. Anyway, I'm going to get working on that, and I'm going to sort it out. If you want to know kind of what I did to resolve it, because you're having the same issue, type a comment below and I'll get to that. Thank you guys so much. If you could drop a like, a comment, and a subscribe, I'd really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.